let's talk a little more about workplace mental well-being. Right here with me today is Porsche Poh, ED, Executive Director, Silver Ribbon Singapore, as well as we've got here Joseph, as well as the Wellbeing Champions Network. So thank you for being on the show. My name is Daniel, and I'll be the host of Let's Talk. Just to set the context for this particular episode, right? We all know that mental well-being is a big thing post-COVID. Awareness has been built up across the different landscapes, the different industries, the different places. But workplaces, I just really want to find out a little bit more about what's happening in this space, in the workplaces, mental well-being. Let's talk a little bit more about it, right? So, Posh, maybe introduce your organization, introduce what you do, and we'll kickstart this whole experience.
Hi everyone, I'm Porsche from Silver Ribbon Singapore, and we are launched in 2006 to combat mental health stigma and encourage early help. When Daniel talked about the pandemic and mental health, right? It's like I try to recall all the memories. It was very chaotic. I received a lot of calls, many calls. And at first we have the youth calling in, and then next moment we have a lot of office staff start calling in because they were feeling very stressed out. And it was totally new for them. I mean, back in older days, can you believe it? Can you work from home? It's impossible. As a new pandemic, then it's so new and they don't really understand the definition of work from home. And some of the clients start asking, am I being productive while working from home? Am I doing enough? And some will say they're very stressed out because they don't have a big house. They have very limited rooms to work from home. They don't have proper office desks or chairs or even IT connection even. So it was quite challenging and it took them some time to get used to it.
Right. I picked out what you said, right? Yeah. Stigma, stress, and nobody knows what's going on. Stigma, right? Just want to direct this to Joe. Tell us a little bit about stigma. I mean, mental well-being, mental health, mental something, right? We don't have the right terms to it. Yeah, we just really want to talk a little bit about that.
I think, coming back to the piece on COVID, usually COVID is discussed as a key inflection point. Life before COVID and life after COVID. And usually this reference then to COVID comes as a result of in discussing how the importance of talking about mental health and well-being kind of took on a new dynamic after the pandemic. But in truth, what's probably happened is that this conversation happened much earlier and that the pandemic basically catalyzed everything and made everything much quicker to happen. And so the conversations have always been going on for a while, obviously with Silver Ribbon being one of the earliest pioneers in this space, addressing some of these topics long before the pandemic, of course. And now there's a lot of talk about it. A lot of people are talking about it. A lot of people are talking around it. I'm not exactly sure then, though, if the people's preconceptions or negative ideas about mental health and well-being have been sufficiently addressed. And coming then to your point about stigma, I think the whole thing about stigma is this lack of what they call psychological safe space in an organizational setting. I think everybody goes through, if you put distress out of the picture, we just talk about stress.
Yep.
If you ask people to put up their hands and how many people have experienced or encountered distress, right? Maybe some hands will go up.
Yeah.
But if you ask the question, who in an office goes through stress, then you find probably most people put up their hands. And I think you find the conversations now moving more upstream, people talking not just about a mental health condition or distress, but they're talking about mental well-being, and that talks about stress. Now, of course, the more effectively to talk about it, then of course you need people to openly
discuss about it, right?
Discuss about it, right? Who do they talk to? It makes sense if there's stigma. If it's only one or two people that have some kind of a clinical diagnosed mental health condition like anxiety or depression or something like that. But if you talk about normalizing conversations, if you're talking about stress,
yes,
and if everybody has it, then that's normal, right?
Yeah,
we should be able to talk about it.
Hold your horses about talking about it. I still want to talk a little bit more about identifying stress, going to this stress, normalizing it. I mean, there's a lot of big jargons in the landscape. Everybody's talking about something related to mental health and well-being. And then we call it issues, we call it problems, we call it situations, we call it so many different things, right? But how do me as an employee, I work for somebody, how do I even know, like what you said, right? Am I productive? Am I doing the right thing? Who do I talk to, right? What Joe is saying. Who do I even go around asking questions and saying, look, I feel a little bit burnt out, but I don't know what to do. Tell me, how do I even identify that I'm going through some form of stress or distress or any situation like that? Tell us.
Daniel, I love your question. Actually, I was paying attention to what Joseph has said about stress. Let's not assume that everybody will know that when they are stressed out. Some people are not even aware that they are experiencing stress. And they say, like, Porsche, I didn't know, no, I just feel that I'm having poor sleep, I'm not having good appetite. But you mean that's stress?
Exactly.
And
Sleep,
they are not
appetite.
Even, and most of the time, when they come forward, I mean, ask them, why to this very moment then you come over, and they say, yeah, I wasn't aware. I thought everything is all right. I thought it's a norm, and to most Singaporean, work is very important. And for example, if we have not met up with old friends and we happen to catch up with them on the street, and first thing they ask you is like, "Hey Joe, long time no see." Instead of "How are you?" they ask, "Where are you working right now?" And
Common questions.
Yeah, so most of the Singaporeans will say that, work is very important. So I can't tell people that I'm feeling stressed in case people start judging me or questioning my ability to contribute. So your question about like how to look out for stress is very important for the community.
Yeah.
So like what I said, they might have disturbed sleep or poor sleep, because like average we will have like the number of sleeping hours maybe between 7 to 9. But now you see Singaporeans, like, it's very common for us to stay up really late. And to what extent? So eventually we have some clients coming forward and said, I have not been sleeping well for the past few weeks. I've been sleeping only 3 to 4 hours. Is that enough? But average supposed to be like 7 to 9 hours. Then we move on to appetite. So are you sleeping well? There are some people who say, I can't eat at all. Or some people can be so stressed out until they engage in binge eating. And they go on eating and you think, I'm very stressed, without any weight management at all. So it could be an issue here. And the third one, I will say that it's mood. How is your mood right now? There are some people who say, I have low mood. I don't have the mood to do anything at all. So it's good to look out for SAM, S-A-M. S for sleep, A for appetite, M for mood.
M for mood, right? Sam. Right?
Sam, any Sam over here.
I'm not even sure if I'm having enough sleep, having good appetite, or even my mood. My mood's generally pretty good, But I'm hearing a lot about this idea of now I can try to identify with this. But I'm hearing from you the idea of stigmatization is still looked upon as, if I tell my friends my situation now becomes a weakness, right? I want to direct that to Joe, right? I mean, would you take care of me at my workplace? I mean, if you were my colleague, how would you from a peer to peer, how would you even look at me?
Coming back to the topic of stigma, I think it's also an issue of the terms that we use. Upfront, already, you hear things being categorized as an issue. It's an issue, right? It's not a challenge, it's not a problem. Maybe it's a problem. Is it a struggle? What is it? Tend to use this word issue, right? So it's like something like if you talk about suicide. Let's, for example, if we draw a completely different parallel. It says somebody committed suicide. When it's positioned that way, it seems as if like the person actually committed a crime, right? So you committed suicide. So now this is a mental health issue. So the terms that we use and how we label all these discussions can feed into stigma and how these topics are perceived. Now, with respect to stigma, there's also another aspect, and Porsche actually touched this, is the lack of self-awareness, right? And we joke about it, right? It's never a problem, never an issue, because it's an issue, right? It's never an issue that we have. It's an issue someone else has, right? But as we said already, and we started saying that if distress is not as common as stress, then stress is common. So everyone has stress, right? It may not necessarily fit neatly into the three sandboxes. It could be a sleep issue, it could be an appetite issue, it could be a mood issue. Maybe it's none of these things. Maybe the other drivers of stress, maybe. But we will all have them. We will all face them. I think if we all face them, and if we encounter a colleague going through some of these stresses, and if we are able to empathetically listen to them and offer a hand of support, then we should be able to support one another because it's a common challenge or problem or issue or whatever you would want to label it.